First, I want to thank New Era Technologies for getting this together. They presented some thoughts early on about jobs and their company, and I thought it would be best to share it with everyone involved and to kind of give an idea that even if this isn't what exactly right for you, it'll give you some ideas of the jobs out there and all the different things that can take place within the sound recording world. Thanks for all the students for making it here. As you all know, this is now our 16th masterclass since we started in the new mix room. And it's a tradition that we're going to keep going even in this environment. So, I'm very happy that everybody made time to be on board. Okay, I'm going to introduce to you Paul Snyder from New Era Technologies. He is kind of one of the lead people there, and he's going to take charge of explaining basically his company and the job opportunities. And then at the end, I'd like to do some Q&A with whomever anybody wants to talk or ask to. Okay? So Paul, would you mind taking it away, sir?
Sure, thank you very much. And first of all, I'd like to thank everybody for participating. If you are having audio issues, please go into the chat, look for someone by the name of Amrit Sidhu, and she can walk you through any challenges you may be having. But so far, it seems like everybody's doing okay. So also want to let you know, we are recording this for you, and so that way if somebody couldn't make it or somebody has to leave early, you can have a copy of this. So if you have any questions, you can put something in the chat, or you can simply wait till the end of it, and again, we'll have a Q&A. But again, thank you for everybody for joining us today. I am Paul Schneider. I'm the Vice President of Operations with New Era Technology. I am based out of the Westchester office. I'm in charge of both the services side for all of our global clients, as well as the integration or production side of projects. I've been with New Era for this is actually going into my 14th year. Overall, I've been in the industry an additional 15 years, so 29 altogether. My background was in radio, television, and film. I actually have family that went to Montgomery County, and I've actually attended there for a semester before I moved on. But my background was generally television, production, radio, and film. And I thought, after 15 years of doing that, it would be nice to try something new. So we have some great people from our side. I consider them family, and they're going to talk about what we do and how we do it. And hopefully something will translate into something that you do now currently. So for us, I'm going to give you kind of the 100-foot view of what we do overall as an organization. So Travis, if we can go to the next slide. Basically, we are 33 offices strong around the world. We have a presence both in the United Kingdom, New Zealand, and Australia. And particularly in the US, we have offices in Pennsylvania, obviously, with our office, New York, New Jersey, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Indiana, Connecticut, Ohio, West Virginia, Illinois, and some other smaller satellite offices. We have over 1,200 employees globally, and we are basically one of the top leading technical and administrative talent you will find in our industry. We are involved in many different things. Our competencies, such as overall audiovisual integration, enterprise conference rooms, digital signage, unified communications, cloud services, and physical security. So if we go on to the next slide, we can kind of talk just briefly about some of the other things that we do. So these are kind of the paths of which we're involved with. So managed IT network solutions, as well as staffing solutions. So we can provide on-site staffing, we can provide remote monitoring, a whole bunch of different things. We're very much involved with all different types of cloud solutions, hosted voice, private and public hybrid services, data recovery as a service, infrastructure as a service. So we're involved in everything from an organization needs from soup to nuts. Where our core competencies are really from our location is the collaboration spaces, the audiovisual integration. Our design services are top notch. Unified communications, video conferencing and telepresence, where we'll have Chris Turner talk about that towards the end, as well as digital signage. So we're involved with a lot of projects from content creation, content management, as well as the installation and integration of such. Data networking is something we've been more and more involved with over time. as well as cybersecurity, virus protection, even physical security. So we want to be your IT provider. We just don't want to be one specific thing to a company. We want to be everything to every company. And we could talk about some of the programs and some of the things that we've done. And at this point in time, what we'll do is we'll have who I call the professor, Travis Lisk. He will talk about this. He's responsible for our programs, and he's responsible for a lot of our technology. So Travis, can you talk more about what we do?
Thanks, Paul. My name is Travis Lisk. I'm the Vice President of the Technical Operations here in Westchester. And basically what that means is I oversee anything and everything that's related to technology based out of our Westchester office, which is primarily focused on audiovisual. I've been with New Era for 22 years next month, and I've been in the industry for a little bit over 33 years. And it started way back when I was in high school, where I was a front of house operator for a whole bunch of benefit concerts at various locations. I went to University of Wisconsin in Oshkosh, where I was a recording technology major. And after that, I ended up heading up the AV department over at Eastern University in St. David's. And then 22 years ago, I started at New Era Technology and have been here in 9 different positions throughout the company, mostly all focused on the technical side of things. So I want to talk a little bit about who we are from the Westchester office. Our primary customers are within a 2-hour radius of the Philadelphia area. And, but those customers are actually taking us globally. And in the last couple of years, we've been in 14 different countries, participating in audiovisual installs and bringing systems to our customers based on what they're looking for. Some of the markets that we're dealing with, we do a lot with higher education. So you're going to see a bunch of pictures of what's going on. I apologize, something is jumping forward ahead of me. We also do healthcare and pharmaceuticals. We do some financial stuff with some both insurance companies and banks. We've been up in New York City, up at a couple bank places up there. We do a lot of legal offices, even some where we're doing virtual courtrooms and things for people to be able to do mock courtrooms and stuff. And we do a fair amount of government work as well.
Hey, Brett, it's not bothering you, is it? What? The audio is not bothering you, I hope, right?
So in the AV industry, we do a whole bunch of boardrooms, conference centers, and classrooms. In addition to that, the picture that you're looking at here is actually the esports training room over at Harrisburg University. That is one of the big areas that we've kind of started to delve into the past couple of months, or years, excuse me. And so we partnered up with them and put on their training facility. In addition to all that, we've done auditoriums and large venues of that nature where there's a whole bunch of audio. So I want to talk a little bit about the brief overview of the technical careers that you can have in the AV industry, one of which is a field installer. And so an installer, basically that person is going out and they're kind of pulling the cable and mounting the equipment. And they're preparing the system to bring it in so that a commissioning technician can come in and bring that system to completion. And that commissioning technician is going to do a whole bunch with the audio side of things. So they're going to work in the audio DSP, and we're going to have Mike Passero talk a little bit about that later on. And he'll talk in depth about what he does as a commissioning technician. Some other roles that we have as a service technician. So a commissioning technician is on the production side. So they're bringing a system that has never been installed before. I'm really sorry. So they're bringing a system and bringing it to completion. Whereas a service technician, they're going to go out and they're going to troubleshoot a system that has already been put together and is complete. And they're going to bring that system back to what it was. We also have some control system programmers, and those programmers are the ones that will create a touch panel interface. So basically you have all these remotes to control all of the various AV gear that's part of the system. We get rid of all those remotes and we put a touch panel on the table so that somebody can come in and press some buttons and see what's happening. In addition, we're also working on engaging with voice activation as well as proximity card activation for systems and things along those lines. Some other areas would be a CAD drafter. And so the CAD drafter's #1 priority is to create drawings of how a room is going to look. So if you look at the front wall, they're going to lay out where the display is going to be mounted, where the camera is going to be mounted, and things along those lines to create what's called an elevation. And then we also have a systems engineer, and the systems engineer is somebody who is technically responsible for that entire project. They're the ones that are looking at all of the equipment that the salesperson has put on a job and making sure that that's all going to interconnect together and work and fulfill the requirements that the customer is working on. And we're going to have Kurt Matajasic talk a little bit about that side of things as well shortly. The last kind of technical role is one that we newly created this past year, back in January actually, and it's called the field engineer. And that person is, they sit on the engineering team, and they're kind of, they've been a technician, a commissioning technician for several years. But the big thing is that they are working closely with our engineering team and our projects team to meld the group together even more to help bring a system to completion much more quickly and much more profitably. And so one of the next things I would like to do is I'd like to introduce one of our project managers. His name is Nick Bookbinder, and he's going to be the one that's going to talk a little bit about what a project manager does from New Era's standpoint. Nick?
Thanks, Travis. As Travis just mentioned, my name is Nick Bookbinder. I'm a project manager here at New Era. Project managers fall within the production department within our office. And the production department handles all aspects of actually physically getting the job completed. So installers and field technicians are also part of our department. I've been at New Era just a little over a year and a half, and I've had 8 years so far in the AV industry. Started out with a degree in broadcasting, telecommunication, and mass media from Temple University. Started working as a board op and recording engineer for WXPN and Helen Light in her Philly local hour. I then moved on to live events, doing live sound for large format conferences, mostly in hotel and convention space. I worked my way up into project management through that experience, and a year and a half ago joined New Era to do the integration side of audiovisual. So I'm going to talk very briefly about what project management is kind of at a whole, because there are project managers in almost every industry that you could think of, and then what it means to be a project manager here at New Era. So project management in general is a lot like what it sounds like. I manage all aspects of a project from start to finish, from the moment that it's turned over from a salesperson and agreed upon with the client, to when the project is complete, the product is in the client's hands, and they're off and running with it. From a client perspective, I am the New Era point person. I am the representative from New Era, and my job, as far as they're concerned, is to deliver the project on time and to specification. From a New Era point of view, my job is to keep our clients satisfied, which includes delivering projects on time at the specification, but also includes making sure that at the end of the day, we've made money on this project and that I'm bringing dollars to the bottom line of the company. So that's project management pretty much everywhere. In New Era, what that means is when I receive a project from a salesperson, it's been agreed upon, and we've gotten a document that says, yes, we intend on paying you for the work you're going to do. I start by taking a look at the scope of work, basically a document that explains what this audiovisual system is supposed to accomplish. Accompanying that document is also what we call a bill of material, which is a list of equipment that is going to get the job done. And I put together a list of people that I need to join my team in order to get that accomplished. This is kind of the start of a project plan, and the next few people you hear from are going to be kind of a continuation of how it's going to go through our office. So a lot of times I'm going to need somebody from Kurt's department in engineering and drafting. I might need a programmer, as Travis talked about, to do some custom interfaces and touch panels, so I'll need one of them on my team. I'll need installers to actually physically go to the site and put the equipment in the space. And I'll need a commissioning technician like Mike, who's going to talk later, to actually make sure the system is doing what it's supposed to, that it sounds and looks great, and is exactly what the client thought they needed, if not better. So when I have a list of people that I need, I go to people like Kurt and to Travis, and I say, these are the people I need. Please assign them based on their skill level and their availability. And I provide a schedule. I look at where AV is supposed to fall in the grand scheme of things, and I tell them when we need to get our job done, when each person's task needs to take place, and how long they have to do it. So where does AV fall in the grand scheme of things? And Travis, if I could have my next slide, please. So you're not meant to read all of this before you start squinting at the screen. This is just a very general look at what's called a Gantt chart. And this is a project that I'm currently working on for a pharmaceutical company. And this is one page out of 25 pages of a 12 floor building complete renovation. So there's a lot of information in here that I, as the project manager, have to dig through and figure out where our portion is going to take place. So in here is things like flooring, carpets, painting, sanding, putting up walls and ductwork for HVAC. Those things might not affect us. Other things might affect us, like when does network go live? When is electricity going to be in the place so we can power up our equipment? When do tables get delivered so we can actually put equipment on the tables and in the tables? So I dig through all this and I decide when we need to be on site and when we need to actually do our portion of it. And Travis, if I could have the next slide, please. And I put together something that's much more digestible for what our purposes are. That's to get sent out to the team and says, hey, Kurt, I need your person to do their job from this date to this date, followed by the next person who's they're going to do their job from this date to this date, and through the entire life cycle of the project until we have people actually on site doing the install and teching it out and turning it over to the client. And this includes things like buying the equipment, making sure we're going to have things on time, taking delays and things that we don't expect into account. So once that's all taken care of and we have a team meeting, we kick the project off and everybody knows what they're supposed to do and when they're supposed to do it, my job gets slightly easier in that I do most of my work up front to make sure the whole team has what they need to get the job done, because they're the ones that are going to really make this happen. But then after that, there wouldn't be much for a project manager to do if every project ran exactly according to plan. And that's almost never how it happens. So throughout the life cycle of the project, there's going to be changes, there's going to be adjustments. Clients decide they need something slightly different. Maybe there's a piece of equipment that's discontinued and we need to change the model number slightly. And we need to go back to the client and make sure that that's approved. Or perhaps there's a delay that we've incurred from construction. Maybe construction is delayed and tables won't be delivered until a month after when we thought we were going to be here. So now everything has to change. So a project manager's job throughout the rest of the project, when everybody's actually off and going and doing their jobs, is to manage expectations, to make sure that any changes that come up, either from our side or client side or construction side, are all taken care of, communicated clearly, and that we have a new game plan going forward. So there's a lot of work on a client interface level, making sure they know that we're on top of anything that may come through, and making sure that if there are any changes, that we're making our new game plan appropriately. And through all those changes, sometimes it means that we might have to spend extra money. Sometimes we might have to buy more equipment. Maybe the equipment that we purchased isn't quite the right thing now that the client changed their mind about what they'd like the space to do. So we have to make all those changes, and part of my job is to make sure that all of that, those monetary values and costs that New Era might incur, are reflected in new costs and invoices to the clients to make New Era whole and are fair to the client at the same time. So once we're actually up and going, like I said, my job mainly becomes getting everybody on the team what they need. I become a support role for everyone from engineers gathering equipment from the client, information from the client about maybe network information, IP addresses, as well as plans for where exactly the equipment is going to go in the space. As well as when the guys are actually in the field, I'm the first line of defense if something is not there. They need a tool or a piece of equipment that was supposed to be there but it's not, or if what they have isn't sufficient and we need to make a change. They come directly to me, and my job is to make sure they have what they need to continue going, to be successful, and make the project successful. So, like I said, project managers, we deliver the project on time and to spec in the client's eyes. We're a success. In the eyes of the company, we keep our clients happy, we make money at the end of the day, and we're successful. And so Being a project manager, as you probably could tell, is not technically a very technical position. Creating schedules and managing client expectations doesn't mean I need to know how to program a control system. But it is important for project managers to have a technical background and knowledge of the systems that they're putting in place. We need to be able to have competent conversations with the client about what they're going to see in this equipment. We need to be able to read drawings. We're the last line of defense for anything that may be slightly off or incorrect when we send out a drawing. I review all the drawings for my projects before I send them to our clients. So we need to be able to know exactly what's going on in these systems. We need to know how they're going to function, how they all work, how they get wired up, and be able to read a functional just like a technician would in the field. So although I'm not the one programming the DSP or setting microphone levels, although I have that experience, and that gains me a lot in terms of being able to have those conversations with the technicians and the client, again, I'm not the one actually doing it. So while project managers, like I said, are not a technical position, they do need to have technical background, especially now that we're more and more, we're doing more information technology, we're doing more networking. That's something that new we have to all learn. We also do trainings and are kept up to speed with our CTS certifications so that we can have the conversations with the people on our team and with our clients. So, but because I'm not an expert, I need to rely on people who are experts. So that means I work a lot with the next person you're going to hear from. I work with him very closely, and that's Mr. Kurt Matajasic. And he's going to explain how, when the project manager needs something and I go to him, how he gets me an answer and gets the job done.
Well, thank you, Nick. That was very flattering. So I'm Kurt Matajasic. I am the engineering supervisor for New Era Westchester. I work in the engineering department. I've been at New Era for about 9 years, probably 9 years plus, and in the industry for over 14. My background is I always had a knack for this kind of thing. I started in high school by sitting behind the console doing school plays. That led me to going to Full Sail University for show production. From there, doing a lot of live events, similar to Nick's story, and then made the transition over to integration probably about maybe 11 years ago at this point. My journey at New Era has had me starting as a service technician, basically what Travis was referring to earlier, going to a system that was already installed and trying to fix it and doing everything we could to get it back up and running. From there, I moved over to the engineering department and was an engineer for about 5 years. And for the last 2, I have overseen the engineers. So that's a short little intro to who I am. So Travis, if you can go to my first slide. So what an engineer for us does is, we were involved in a project from almost its inception, even after it's already done and gone. So an engineer really does touch all aspects of the building. I mean, I've referred to ourselves as, the memory of New Era. So we'll be involved from an idea when a client maybe will come to one of the account executives and ask them, hey, I have this idea and this is what I want to do here, and offer some assistance there. Then we will make that idea into reality. I mean, through planning. So what you'll see in the center there is what one of our drawings would look like. And at the end, you'll see, what we've dreamt up in the very, very beginning, what we've planned for does become something tangible. So that's something you can see, something we can be proud of. So Travis, if you can move to the next slide. So what an engineer really is principal for creating is a drawing. So what you'll see right here is details down to what button may read a certain thing. What wire may be connected to what. And what really ties that all together is we have to think not only as an engineer, but as an end user, as the lowest common denominator. A good design engineer has to think of not only how well a system will work, but how well someone will use it. So the majority of what an engineer will produce will be a drawing. So as Travis had went over earlier, we work with a drafter who will kind of tell the installers where things will go, what height they'll be, and really give the look of a room we work with them and then create the actual functionality of it, down to every last wire, every connector, and also we'll go into writing some of the DSPs, which Mike will be talking about later. So the one thing I wanted to share with you, because I can go into the nitty gritty of exactly how we try to figure that all out and stuff like that, but the one thing I wanted to go over with is a real life application of what I'm trying to explain. So I was fortunate enough a few years ago to be working with an account executive and a particular client on a system that we really hadn't seen before. We've worked on a lot of different systems, but this was one that I hadn't really had the pleasure of doing before. When what the system was some children that were having cochlear implants installed or turned on for the first time. And if Travis, you can go to my next slide. For those of you who don't know what a cochlear implant is, for someone who is deaf, it allows them to hear. So some of these children were going to hear for the first time. So in that, they get a much better result from the children when the parents aren't in the room. So for some reason, the child reacted a little bit better when they didn't have someone to look at that they were very familiar with. So the challenge was, how do we involve the family in this moment? So what we came up with was a couple of cameras and a couple of microphones. And Travis, if you could just actually go back one slide, just so I can put that into reality. This is the actual system that we came up with. Now, this is one of probably about 10 pages that show the functionality, but I wanted to show you on the side that we had this little button panel that was right next to a display with some headphones, basically what we call a 4-gang plate about this large, all with headphone jacks to allow the family to plug in their own personal headphones. That's more important now than it ever has been. So that way they will be able to experience it. And not only will they be able to turn the display on and off and change the volume, but we had given a couple presets so that they could really, it would be interactive for them. They didn't have a good view of the child, and they would be able to hit it. A lot of things come into play outside of that, such as privacy for medical records and things like that. All that stuff had to be taken into account. How easy it would be for just an average user to walk into a room and not have to worry necessarily about what the technology was that they were going to be interfacing with, but really just to focus on that moment to see their child who had never heard before hearing for the first time. It was one of the most empowering things that I have ever been a part of. It was, first of all, it was such a challenge, and then to be able to know that what we were doing, and this is not the only story that I have along these lines. There are many more, but this one I think has always stuck with me, because that system's still up and running, and it's still bringing families together in a way that they may not have been able to before in the past. So we really are able to make an impact in what we do outside of just a drawing of a bunch of lines and functionality. And when you start to think of what we do in this world as being just problem solvers and taking the knowledge we have of audio, video, networking, the psychology of it. I mean, it all comes together. It may look like a drawing, but really it can end up being a life-changing thing. So that's one story I wanted to share with you. We can go over definitely any of the other stuff during the Q&A session as far as specifics, but rather than bore you with the details, I'd rather give you one of the best experiences I've ever had working for this company. And as it was discussed before, we are the ones that plan, we are the ones that think and try to come up with everything, and we would be absolutely nothing without those people who are in the field. I've always kind of joked that if we're the brains, that they are the eyes and the ears, and not to take that away from Mike at all, because he's one of the smartest people I've ever met. But we have the people that will go out in the field, and we will work as one, and we will turn a system that we just drew on a piece of paper, we'll turn it into that reality. So with that, I would like to introduce Mike Passero, who's one of our commissioning technicians.
Thank you, Kurt. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Mike Passero. I'm a commissioning technician for New Era. It's part of the production / engineering team. I work at all the client sites, handle some of the installations, configure the systems that are designed by the engineering team. I've been with New Era for almost 3 years, and I've been working with audio and video for about 12. So I got my start after completing an audio recording program in 2008. And then from there, I moved to Los Angeles, where I was a recording and mixing engineer at a post-production facility for about 6 years. So I worked with a lot of great session players out there, created musical pieces that would accompany video productions. I used an SSL Matrix console every day, worked in Pro Tools with a lot of great plugins. And I gained a lot of experience with audio and how to work in fast-moving production environments. Because of several family developments, my wife and I decided that it was best to move back to the Philly area, to our hometowns. But then I quickly realized that recording work in Philly wasn't as consistent or reliable as it is like in a place like LA or New York. So that's when I started looking around at other options, and I found opportunities in the AV field and ultimately New Era. So I really started exploring it, and it sounded like a great fit because of my past experience working with audio and video. And it had a lot of similarities to the studio work that I had been doing, but it was also different enough that it would be a fun challenge to learn all the new technology that was utilized in the industry. There's a lot of vintage equipment that's used in the studio world, and it provides, an amazing sound and tone. But in my opinion, there have been so many advancements in the digital world that audio engineers and techs like myself are able to achieve amazing results with software and hardware. So one of those devices is in this next slide. It's a digital signal processor, or a DSP. So this will show you a design that I created for a system in Sao Paulo, Brazil. In this particular case, the design was for a divisible space based off of a drawing created by one of our engineers. The drawing is basically a guide for how the audio should function in the room. They take care of the design and make all the decisions, kind of like Kurt was touching on. So this file is based on their creation. So if you start at the left-hand side of this image, you can see those yellow blocks. They are the physical inputs to the device, and then the signal flow goes from left to right. So think of each one of those blocks as a different plugin. You have EQs and filters, compressors, gates, different matrices. So everything you see in here is the same as a DAW that you would work in. It's just flowing from left to right instead of starting at the top of a channel strip and moving down. All the routing can be set up in here along with any automation that you want to incorporate. For instance, since this is the visible space, there are times when the audio should be playing out of only one specific area, and at other times the audio will be playing out of every speaker in the system. That can all be programmed in here. The DSP design is controlled by the end users via a touch panel, and many times those touch panels are created by the control systems programmer. So I'm required to work closely with that individual to facilitate the communication between the control processor and the DSP. It allows you to create complex routing and audio processing while providing the end users with an interface that they can still easily navigate. For some of the smaller systems, the commissioning technician will create the user interface. So in this next slide, you can see there's an 11x6 audio matrix. There's 11 inputs throughout this facility, and they can be routed to 6 different locations. The touch panel on the right is what the client would have access to in order to make the appropriate routes. And the matrix on the left in that pink block is the actual design in the DSP. So the touch panel makes things a bit more intuitive for the person pushing the buttons. They can select the source at the top of the screen and then send it to a destination at the bottom. So tasks like this will enable you to get somewhat creative and develop interfaces that make your DSP accessible to people that are using the system on a daily basis. The nice thing with the applications used to create these interfaces is that you don't need to know any kind of standard programming languages. All of the configuration is done in an application using these blocks that you can drag and drop in order to achieve the desired result. So you don't need to worry about any syntax errors or anything like that, like you will with a typical programming language. With these tasks, you can use the statement of work developed by the sales team and project managers to know exactly how the system should function so that you know what the client is expecting. So these past two slides are examples of how the majority of the work lives in the digital domain. Therefore, the majority of our audio and video is transmitted via Cat6 cable. So the next slide will give you a broad overview of how that happens. So the image on the left is the outline of a digital audio setup using the protocol Dante. And the photo on the right shows you the general layout for a system incorporating audio and video encoders and decoders. One major similarity between these two outlines is the fact that there is a network switch at the center of each one of these deployments. So IP addresses, local area networks, coordination with the on-site IT department, these are all things that are required to make these systems functional. Managing audio and video traffic on a network switch is critical. Is the traffic only traveling between two devices, or is the device broadcasting data out to every host on a switch? If this is all happening on the client's network, then we have to be aware of how the traffic is routed and isolated. Another thing is security. We have to think about that, and we don't want to put something on their network that could ultimately become a vulnerability to their organization. We have to ensure that the appropriate devices are password protected. So audio and video goes beyond just XLR connections and HDMI cables. There are a lot of great USB and Thunderbolt interfaces on the market, but implementing these kinds of designs spanning great distances between rooms and even buildings require a more robust technology and protocols. So for me personally, it's been great taking everything that I've learned and developed over the past decade and continue to have it evolve with the new technology as it's released. It's also very rewarding to see clients' visions go through all the departments at New Era and ultimately become a reality in the client's environments. Many times the technology includes devices that they've never seen or used before, so it's exciting for them as well. And once all that on-site work has been completed, we tie up any loose ends with the client and make sure that they're satisfied with the system. We perform training with them. We make sure that they know how to control everything in the room, and then we close out the job with the project manager. And then from there, responsibilities for assisting the client will move over to our service department, and they will handle any future issues that may arise. So to touch a little bit more on that, I'll pass things over to Chris Turner.
Thank you so much, Mike. I do appreciate that. Thank you all for joining us and for hanging in there as we talk a bit about New Era technology. My name is Chris Turner. I'm a service account executive. I have been with New Era for 11 years. I started as a freelancer as an on-site technician. So my duties were to go, I was assigned to a specific customer, and I went there every day and supported all of their events, their meetings, anything like that that they needed. So I would operate all the audio-visual equipment. One fun story is there was a speaker, a famous author that was giving a speech, and I had walked up to him prior to the start of the event, asked him if he needed anything. He had a laptop there, said, "Do you need audio from the laptop?" He said, "No, I'm good." As the presentation went on, someone in the audience asked him about his book and something that he could share. And he said, "Yeah, let me just play this file from my laptop." And then he realized, oh, wait, I don't have anything plugged in. Well, I was in the other room watching the whole time. So then I came back out with the cable, plugged him in, and he was good to go. And that was the highlight of his day and everyone else's day, because I was there to help them with that. So that's a good time. some of the other things, a little background on me is prior to my time at New Era Technology, I lived out in Los Angeles, California, similar to Mike Passaro, except while he was exploring the audio industry, I was exploring the film and television industry. I was out there for 3 years, moved back home when the economy crashed, called up my old friend Paul Schneider, asked him if he had any work, and he brought me on as a freelancer for New Era, and it's been a great job and career ever since then. So I moved from supporting sites to helping sell our service. So what our service is once the project is done, customers need help. They need assistance. If the equipment goes down or it breaks, they need someone to come out and fix it. So I help them with those solutions. How are they best served? What type of agreement do they need? So I sell those agreements to them to ensure that they have maintenance, to make sure that they're protected, because they heavily invest money into this equipment. They want to make sure that it's working at all times. I mean, you guys are in class all the time, right? They want to make sure that that classroom technology is working. As you've seen from what Curtis talked about, what Travis has talked about, what Mike has talked about, there's a lot involved. It's not something as simple as just there's one cable plugged into this device and it all works. There's programming, there's network, there's everything involved, and they need someone to help support that. And that's where the service department comes in. So we don't only deal with break fix maintenance, we also have what's called a video network operations center. So what is that? Well, Travis, can you go to the next slide for me? Does anyone know what this is? This is an operator, a telephone operator. A lot of you probably have never even seen one of these people before. You're too young for that, but I'm old enough to remember this. Paul's old enough to remember this. A lot of us are. A telephone operator, their job is to make sure that both ends of the call are hearing. And that's where our video network operations center comes in. Travis, you can go to the next slide. Our video network operations center encompasses video network conferencing services. What is that? It's virtual attendant, it's call scheduling, it's remote in-call troubleshooting, and back-end management and monitoring. So for instance, we're on this Zoom call, correct? You've all been using Zoom for all of your classes, your virtual learning. Well, who's managing that back end? It's a simple application to use, but who is managing it? Because if something goes wrong, who are you gonna call? Zoom? You can call Zoom, but be prepared to be on hold for a long time because everyone's calling Zoom for assistance. That's where we step in. Amber Tadu, who's on this call right now as well, we have a 24/7 VNOC. She manages that team. And their responsibility is to make sure that all the calls happen, there are no mistakes, everyone is taken care of, and the calls are happening with no issues. Why? Because at the end of the day with our customers, time and communication is of the essence. Any minute lost, especially in terms of school, is a minute of learning that goes away. And right now we need that more than ever. So that's where our video conferencing support services come in. We're a global operation. We're based out of Westchester, Pennsylvania. And one of our customers, we're supporting up to 800 of their video conference endpoints. What does a video conference endpoint mean? It's a simple piece of hardware that looks almost like a computer that sits behind a display, and it is taking the video and audio feeds, sending them out via the network, and then sending them to the other end, similar to what we're doing here now. So we've gone from these large systems to something as simple as a laptop. We can help support all of that, and that is what our VNOC does. We can do it globally, we can do it locally. It doesn't matter what they have, those are things that we can do. And as you can see, we support Zoom, Teams, Cisco, BlueJeans, anything like that is what we're doing. Some of that might seem like it's just, what is that? Basically, at the end of the day, it's a video chat platform. We can help support that. Our VNOC also provides digital signage services. Travis, could you go to the next slide? What is digital signage? Here are some examples. Corporate messaging, digital menu boards, retail digital signage. So when we were allowed outside in the real world, which we will be eventually, but when we were allowed outside, think about it. Wherever you went, go to the movies, go to a restaurant, go pick up some fast food, you see a digital menu board. You see digital signage in a store. Where's that coming from? Who is supporting that? Who is making that? Those are things that we do, and they need to be operating at all times. But we can help manage that. We can help create the content. So where some of you might be saying, well, this just seems like you're sitting behind a desk. Yeah, you're sitting behind a desk, but you're also making things happen. You're helping create the content, helping make sure that video files play okay, helping make sure that audio files play okay. That's what we're doing when it comes to digital signage services. And it's very exciting. It's a lot of fun. Those are just some of the services that we do and some of the offerings that we can have, and things that I think would be a lot of fun for all of you to take part in. So that wraps up a bit about the service end of things, and I'm going to throw things back to Travis right now.
Hey guys, just letting you know, we lost the audio.
Let's see, is that working now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
There
we're
we
back.
go. All right. I just wanted to show a couple screens. I apologize. On the left-hand side is an image of a system that we did where there are 6 different huddle spaces that the students can meet together as a small little group of 4. And then if the professor says, you know what, hey, I really like what this group is doing, they can press a button on that control system touch panel and be able to project that group's presentation or whatever they're working on to either of those 2 projectors. And then the image that you're seeing on the right is an actual control room. This control room is monitoring 47 different classrooms throughout the building, where they have the ability that if they need to do some overflow in one of these auditoriums because there's just too many students in there and they need to combine them, they press a couple buttons on the touch panel and all of a sudden the video and the audio is all routed directly over to these other overflow rooms. As well as they do a whole bunch of recordings for the professors and people along those lines as well. Some other systems that we do are corporate boardrooms. There's an example of a touch panel in the middle of the table there. And that, the next thing we also do are some museums. So this is the Franklin Institute down in Philadelphia. And we have put in the projectors that are mounted sideways. And if you look all the way up above in the rotunda, you can see these projectors mounted, and they project across the rotunda and provide that video image that the museum was looking for. So as you can see and hear from what our 4 people were talking about, a lot of our background is very similar to what you all are doing at Montgomery Community College. And it's all stuff that has tied together in regards to the audio side, and a lot of the audio stuff does develop into the video stuff very similarly as well. If any of this is intriguing you, we do have an internship program. And so I would like to introduce Angela Johnson, our Director of HR, to talk a little bit about that. Angie?
Hold on. Hopefully you can hear me. I always seem to be the one that has bad audio. So as long as we're good, I'll keep going. So my name's Angela Johnson. I'm the Director of Human Resources for New Era Technology, and I cover the entire US. So we're a global operation, and everybody you've talked to today so far focuses on the PA office in Westchester. I handle the HR with my team for that office, as well as all of the 16 other US offices. I started in the Westchester office, so I still always say, like, my heart kind of belongs there. I know a lot more about that business than I do some of our other newer locations. I've been in HR for 10 years, 4.5 of which have been with New Era. Prior to that, my HR career started at a railroad, very different. But I will say I have found the technology space to be very exciting. I like hiring, all of the different levels of professionals, and, hiring people that are very, very smart and work together as a team and have the passion for what they're doing. Most of the people that we hire, I would say, that are strong AV people are in a band or participate in a band or have a guitar in the back of their car or, record stuff on the side. So it's a pretty neat experience to see the team that comes together there in the PA office, which has always been what kind of keeps me wanting to stay with this industry. It's a small niche thing that brings in a lot of really neat people. With the internship, Travis, you can go to the next slide here. We structure it with a heavy emphasis of being in the field, so you can really see what the folks are doing in the position that we feel that the internship turns into as far as a career with New Era. So out of a 12-week, 13-week internship, we have the majority of that time being spent in the field broken up with the install team, which are the people who are physically installing the equipment, more of the construction-based knowledge, and then the heaviest concentration with the field technicians, because we do feel like the position that Mike Passero is in, and he talked to you about, is really where your backgrounds and your degrees that you're pursuing with Montgomery Community lend to a career as a technician, at least to get you started in the AV field. After you've learned how to commission a system and really get it up and running the first time based on the drawings that the engineering team gives you, but then we send you over to the service team. So once you've learned how to create it from scratch, you know, the first time making it turn on and work, then we show you what it's like to do break fix. How do you diagnose what the problem is? What's it like, you know, as far as being on the road? Because those are very different roles. A field technician tends to be on a project for, you know, maybe a solid week or 2 weeks or even up to a month at a time, depending on the extent of the project. Whereas a service technician, they're in a van moving from service ticket to service ticket throughout the day. So they might see 3 different clients in a day on a busy day, whereas a field technician, for the most part, spends a significant amount of time with one client while working on a project. So we like to show you the differences there. Then we also structure in time within the office. We do feel like a holistic approach to this internship is the best thing for everybody. So we give you a week with the sales engineers, which they're doing the pre-engineering with a project with the sales account executives. Then we're giving you 2 weeks with the engineering team with Kurt and his other systems engineers, as well as our drafters. And then we take you, for a week, we put you over with Paul and Chris in the service center to show you everything that goes on behind the scenes, like Chris was talking about with, you know, keeping Zoom or whatever it might be, that platform of the day up and running with our clients, as well as the service coordination team, who are essentially the help desk for our service technicians. So they're taking in a call from a client that says something is not working. I need you to get somebody out here to help us fix it. They might do general diagnostics over the phone, but for the most part, they're going to schedule and dispatch a van. So we like to show you how, when you're with New Era, how it all comes together. That not only helps with a broader understanding of what it means to be in each of these positions, it also helps everyone at New Era rally around you as the intern that's there, and they all are there to support you. And then in the event that you do transition into a full-time job with New Era, you have a fully stocked team of people behind you ready to support you in your career growth with the company. Travis, you can go to the next slide, please. When it comes to our projects with the internship, we really focus heavily on the 2-hour, the 2-hour radius of Philadelphia. You would need transportation as well as far as getting to our office. But outside of that, we can usually put you in a van with one of the other folks going to the field, or we can get you to meet them along the way, depending on where you live and they live. But you would be traveling in pretty much a 2-hour radius. There might be a couple circumstances where you go a little bit outside that, and that's only for the internship. As a full-time employee, you could go all over the world. Mike was in Brazil within a very short time of working with New Era. We've had some of our other folks who have started as interns and moved into technical roles over in Europe and a couple other places. So there's definitely a lot of things to do as a full-time employee. All right, next slide. This is how we would help you understand the structure of your internship. So I told you before the number of weeks that we give, and there might be a little bit of discrepancy here because this was somebody's actual internship. So it changes based on some vacations and other personal commitments that our interns have in the summer. This was one that we used last summer for a young lady who came from Lebanon Valley College. And this is the schedule that she was given to show her what department she was going to be with each day. I also take this and present it to the management team at the New Era PA office to show them that we have an intern coming and where they're going to be each week, so that everyone has their teams ready to be there and fully engage with them when they get into their department. Okay, next slide. So we do have a few resources for you if you're interested in the AV field within your degree. So one of the things that we have is AVIXA. They used to be called Infocom. They still call their trade show Infocom, so it's a little confusing. But they offer what's called the CTS, Certified Technology Specialist Certification. And when you come into New Era as an intern, we sponsor you for that certification, and we pay for all of your classes and for your exam. And we give you some time, both during your internship, then you have a lot of time, we ask you to do on your own to study for the exam. And we have gotten a pretty good turnout of folks being able to pass that either at the end of the internship or within the first couple of months of coming on as a full-time employee with New Era. The other thing that Avixa has, they do have a newer grant program. So it's a grant program through Avixa that has a company match, and you can get up to $3,000 towards your tuition if you apply and get elected for that grant, which is pretty neat. And then there's also Ignite. So Ignite is organized by NSCA, which is a industry organization that really focuses on the Ignite portion of the industry organization. They focus on the industry awareness. So they're doing things like this. So this is us helping Ignite mission to tell students and other people out there in different fields what the AV industry is, what it can offer to you, and how it might, satisfy all of the technology and, hopes and dreams that you have in your career. They also do have some scholarships available. It's outside of Avixa. So if you come on as an intern, we give you all the information to be able to go and apply for any of the additional funding that you might be able to get. And then I think there's one more slide, which is just a thank you. And Travis, can you go to the slide if there is one, just with everyone's contact information? I think it might be after the thank you, if it's there. So this is going to be given to you afterwards. So we wanted to make sure that you have everyone's contact information outside of the Q&A section that we're about to enter. If you were to come in, I just want to let you know, you would email me directly for an internship opportunity. We currently are not, unfortunately, offering them in the summer of 2020, given the COVID pandemic that we're in right now. So if it's something that you could do in 2021, you could email me whenever you would be interested. And then Travis would be your sponsor for that internship. So he would be he'd be your daily contact once you're in. And with that, I think that we're all wrapped up. If we want to go into a Q&A session, Dave, perhaps you want to take it from here and kick it over to your students again?
Sure. Okay, everybody. Any questions? Let's start. Just jump in there with any questions anyone has. And don't be shy now. I have a question anyway. So an internship, once they get there, what's the length of the day? Where do they commute? Is there a place? Is there do they commute? Is there public transportation? Like, how does that work? Like, just in general?
So in general, we work together. We will communicate with the student and as well, depending upon where they're going to be located. Unfortunately for Westchester, where our office is located, there is some public transportation. We actually do have some employees who do use the public transportation, but they do have to have a little bit of a walk after they get off the public transportation, because the closest place is Westchester University. But it is possible to get to the area using public transportation, but that's only if you're in the office. If you are if it's the point in time where you're going to be on the field with either a technician installer, we'll work together. And a lot of times, if you're with the technician may drive by the house, pick them up, or if it's just easier for everybody to meet, like if they're all going down into Philadelphia, then public transportation into Philadelphia by the intern, and the technician will drive down and they'll meet down on site. So, but we are very flexible with that, and we work together to make it happen.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah, I think it's important to understand, Dave, for everybody, our internship is a paid job. So if you do the internship with us, you're going to be paid for all your time, and you're going to be a full-time employee during that time. So you're going to work, typical shifts, 7 a.m. to 4 or 5 p.m.
Great. That was wondering that. Thank you. Anyone else?
I'm going to just ask, you covered a lot of ground. What would you say would be some of the main kind of basic skills that you look for in an intern?
That's a very good question. We like to have some thought process going on. So some basic troubleshooting would be something that we'd be looking for. Understanding of audio flow would be a good thing, because we feel that if you understand audio flow, you'll be able to pick up the video flow. Angie, is there anything else? Paul, anything else that you guys would want to chime in on?
I would say a couple other things are passion for the industry. So we really do want to bring people in who feel like it's something that they would like to do, and it could result in a career. Not to say that you have to, it could just be an experimental thing for you guys as well. But we do really focus on, positive attitude, willingness to take on everything we throw at you and learn it, and kind of that attitude of, you're going to make the most out of that intern. So I would say the attitude is a big part of that.
I would agree with that, Angie. We've had a lot of our interns are now working for us as commissioning technicians or other areas of the company. I think that drive and desire to learn great customer service, because customer service is not just a client or an end user, it's somebody within your department or other departments. So we find the people that have that drive, that motivation, that flexibility, people who are inquisitive, who don't mind asking questions, because the one thing that everybody in this organization is really good at is answering questions and teaching. They want you to learn to be successful, because the more people that we have that are able to do multiple things, the better off we are as an organization.
Thank
And
you.
Paul, another question came in to the chat that might be a good one for you. It's from a student who is mass media production major and curious about suggestions for someone who's more interested in the video rather than the audio. That might be a VNOC type question, or Travis, whoever wants to pick it up.
Well, I'll pick it up first, and then Travis can talk about it, since there's two different sides of it. From the services side and what we do, obviously, we're involved pretty much, and I have staff all over the world that are involved with video conferencing, and also for supporting large-scale events. So we can definitely, as part of the program, have you, and if that's your focus on, we can have you as part of those and set up those large-scale meetings. For one of our clients, we handle over 800 endpoints. That means different conferencing rooms or different types of video rooms in all over the world. Some of those, we have over 500 endpoints to do digital signage, where we can do support any type of streaming event. So we can make that in as part of the program. That is part of what we do. That's just from that side of the house. From the integration side of it, obviously everything that we do video conferencing, so we build those rooms as well. So we can get involved in a lot of different things. In fact, I remember for one of our clients, we were actually hired to do all of their large scale productions when it comes to quarterly meetings, yearly meetings. So we're involved in any aspect of it. And some of our jobs, maybe an internship, you would go on site for one of those locations to support those type of workloads. And then if you were interested in going down that path, we could do that. Chris, were you thinking of another technology or another client that we use that for?
Well, I was just going to talk a little bit more about that one event that you talked about. I think it was probably one of the most exciting things that I've done and watched happen. Because from a video end of things, I'm assuming that you're talking probably more from a video production end. And for that event, Amrit from our team, as well as Sean, we sat in what looked almost like a control room. We made a de facto control room, and one person was operating one stream, and the other was switching between 30 different endpoints. So Amrit and Sean were switching between 30 different endpoints and 30 different sites where they had the video set up. We were working with the team members there to make sure that the video camera and the shot was set up exactly how we wanted it to be, to make sure it was on the podium, focused on the person who was going to win an award. And we would also make sure once they won the award, if someone was coming from the audience, make sure that we could pan that camera over. So it was a full scale, almost live production event. And that was a lot of fun to do. Those aren't often, but they happen a lot, and they happen sometimes. And when we're asked to do it, we love doing that. And streaming media is becoming very popular as well, and we're doing that for a bunch of our customers too. So those are things that we can do from the video.
And to follow up, Chris, as we also, if I remember that event correctly, we had people in about 6 different states.
Correct.
So, and that was also a good thing for us to be able to add our service, to show the value of our service. That led to a lot of different opportunities to us through that client, because they came recommended to us from another vendor who couldn't do what we did. And we are still with that client today. It was a great success story. And if I remember, that was close to the end of year around the holiday time. So
yeah,
it was amazing. It was a truly fun event.
Yeah, I was just wondering what the interview process was like for the internship.
Yeah, and then we have another one in as well. So the interview process for the internship is consisting of really a team approach. So the first thing would be I would get a copy of your resume, and typically that is paired with a recommendation from David or another professor. Just that's how I typically see them. They would come across, and then I would have you scheduled to come in, and you would meet with, usually it would be Travis and Paul, because they're really the ones that are responsible for all of the different departments, making sure that somebody is going to be there for the internship, to help make sure that you're the right fit. Sometimes they will bring in, an engineer or something, but usually it would be Travis and Paul and talking through kind of your schooling. It's a pretty informal interview. We really just want to get a feel for who you are and what it is you're looking to do. And then the other one I had is applying for the what time of year would you recommend they apply? So I would say you can, applying for a summer internship that would be in your spring semester, at the start of your spring semester, would be fine. Come after the holidays, you get back to school in January, that would be a good time to apply. We like to do 2 interns at a time. We just feel like it kind of takes that new guy feeling off of everyone if you're not the only one doing it. So we do like to do 2 at a time. So, get it in and we'll see what we can do. And then the other question we have is, are there tasks where you'd be working on your own, or would you be guided to work on all the tasks? And Travis, I will let you do this one.
Okay. It's a mixture of both. Depending upon how well and quickly things are picked up, sometimes the person that you're working with that day may say, hey, go off and terminate these RJ45 cables, and I'm going to go over here and work on this. We have had some interns that were able to pick up even the software side of things, and we said, oh, hey, we've got this DSP that needs to be programmed, go for it. And so we hand that off. So it is a mixture of both working on your own as well as working directly with people, but we definitely work with you and make sure that you are comfortable in the approach as to what's happening. Go ahead, Paul.
And for those who, if you haven't done an internship before or not, I'll use an example from, which may sound familiar to some of you. My background was in, again, radio, television, and film. I did some internships at some places, and they gave me the worst jobs or the menial jobs, or they had me run out and get coffee or whatever. The best opportunity I ever had was working for Channel 6, WPVI, my internship down there, where they actually had me doing hands-on stuff. And when we started doing this program, we kind of adopted the same thing, is that we wanted to make sure that this was hands-on. You're going to have an opportunity to do what we do. We're going to give you all of the opportunities that we had when we came into this. So you're actually having an impact on a project as an intern from start to finish. I mean, it is, again, a paid internship. We treat it as if a job, and you have a lot of people who want to work with you, who want to spend the time to train you, because again, we've hired a really good amount of the interns, and we know that we're going to be working together more in the future. So this is a great opportunity, to be honest.
Yeah, and then the only other piece is there is a job shadowing piece as well. So there definitely are times where you're not physically working, but you're really just looking over one of our experts' shoulders to see what it is they do and why they do it. And that's more of an absorption part to the internship. So that's really a wide range of what you'd be doing.
Do you do internships in the fall?
Yeah, so we are open to doing internships at other times as well. Most of the colleges that we work with seem to put them into the summers. but we could do them outside of that. The only thing I would say is it would really need to be an open schedule to you. So you would have to make sure you didn't also have classes. Our schedules with our projects just don't work well with, you know, you're at class in the morning, you come in the afternoons for a small piece. Like, we need to be able to fully engulf you in what we're doing, and that's how we have success. So if you have a fall semester off that you could focus solely on your internship, then yes, we could do that.
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I have a question. I remembered one of you stating that a lot of you are musicians, and I wanted to know, how does being a musician help you do your work, do your job?
Mike or
All right,
Kurt,
well,
either of you like
yeah, I was gonna say Mike or Kurt, jump in.
Yeah, so I think more so than being a musician, being an audio engineer, having that background can help tremendously just with troubleshooting issues. I mean, I can remember being in situations where there were audio problems in a room and, you know, something's not playing right. And just by the sound of it, you can tell that there's a phase or polarity issue. So just taking stuff from the studio background, and it does immediately apply to conference rooms. For music, for example, like when you're EQing different instruments, you know, if you want to get more presence or, you know, a little bit more bite out of a guitar or a vocal, you know that you're going to be around like the 2 to 3K range. So when you're doing microphones in a boardroom, you know how to tweak the sound and get everything sounding in that room the best that it can. So there is a direct correlation between, you know, music and recording and engineering with audio to the type of stuff that I do.
Perfect. Kurt, do you want to add anything additional?
Yeah, I mean the one that's, it's funny just how many of us, you know, play something. But I mean, I'm a musician because I love music, and with that, I found a love of audio right along with it, which is probably not unlike many of yourselves. So really, I mean, it's my love of music that made me a musician that really engulfs me in what I do. There's just something about when everything sounds right and you got that right image and everything's lining up, you got a good pair of headphones on, that there's nothing like that. And you know, that has never gone away from me. And to really be able to mess with that stuff and be exposed to different rooms. I've had the opportunity to tune the auditorium at Dover Downs with a giant line array and stuff like that, like as an install. And that was only a couple of years ago. You know, just picking your favorite music, throwing it on there, seeing how it sounds. I mean, that was what I was paid to do that day. So yeah, it's all about music. We're musicians because of that.
Awesome.
Kurt, I think that with you still on the screen, one of the neat things to also say that we look for in an intern or even just entry level is somebody who just likes to mess with technology. So I know that you have wired your entire living around you to be like a smart space. Can you go into a little bit of that? Because I think that that's pretty interesting too, how you have it in your personal life as well.
Well, it's everything you guys can't see at the moment. It's everything on the other side of the camera. But yeah, I mean, no one was surprised when I was a kid when I, you know, read the manual to learn how to type, set the clock on the VCR. Another thing dating all of us. But yeah, at this point, the house kind of lives, it works for itself. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 screens in front of me at the moment of different sizes and shapes. It's a little touch panel sitting right here, and it's fun to mess. It's fun to mess with. I mean, this is the only place I've always kind of admired. Like, you know, there's a plumber, an electrician, you know, like, you know, all those different trades. But then there was like the HVAC guy who had to learn how to do plumbing, electrical, refrigeration. Like, it was all the trades kind of mixed into one. That's what we are. You know, we're the audio, we're the video, we're the networking, we're the automation, coding. You know, use computers. I mean, it's just all of that wrapped into one makes us extremely well-rounded. And that's like, that goes into our personal lives. There's a whole bunch of us dabbling in home automation. I mean, I'm sure most of us have a 44 space rack sitting in our basement that someone was throwing away 5 years ago. So that's the fun of it. It's a lot of us like what we do so much that we go home and tinker as well. Not like the chef who goes home and doesn't want to cook for himself. It's something that, especially when Paul, recognizes it's the passion of it. This industry chose a lot of us. You can see, I got my guitars on the wall. I got all this technology in front of me. It's just, when you know, and it took me, dabbling in the live stuff and it was fun, but I found the place that tied all of my interests together, and that's where I've been.
I'll add one thing
Perfect.
about
I think
musicians and creativity.
Go ahead.
I forgot to put my guitars on the wall behind me. Sorry, but I think that musicians are inherently creative. We create music. We think our ways around chord progressions, time signatures. There's a lot of things that go on while creating music that is also problem solving. And I think musicians as a whole are creative, problem solving people. That paired with your degree in recording and technology, pairing that creativity with the technology, it's exactly what we're looking for. Because even though we're not creating chord progressions and time signatures and messing with that kind of stuff in the field, we're coming up with creative ways to go around solving a problem. In Kurt's department, we're coming up with creative ways to make the system work. So that creativity, I think, is what really ties musicianship and our work together.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys. I think that one of the really neat things that you can see, and you can see it, we're all remote. We've been remote since the middle of March, but the passion is there across all of our teams. And, it doesn't matter if they're talking about a project that we're actually getting paid to do. You can feel the passion in the room. If it's something that, hey, I just got this new home automation thing and I'm trying to mess with it, and then or, hey, I just got this new guitar, I'm bringing it in tomorrow, let's all have a jam session in the fabrication shop. All of that is the culture of the Westchester, PA office. It's felt throughout the office all day, every day, when we're all there. And because the passion is there so much when we are there, now, given this whole pandemic and us all having to be put into our little boxes at home, it hasn't gone away. And I think that speaks really highly to what that career can become to all of you.
Wow, thank you so much. This was great.
Well, I want to thank you guys so much for doing this. I want to thank Bethany Eisenhardt, who actually kind of put us all together. I really appreciate that as well.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thank you, New Era. It's been great. I just really appreciate reaching out to our students and to doing all that. And I do have guitars hanging up behind me, so just so you know, there they are. So thank you, Angela, Nick, Kurt, Mike, Paul, everybody. Thank you so much. And we have this recorded, so we will be posting this on our mc3.edu/masterclass page. And once we organize, and so any of the MSP people that missed this or anybody else who missed it can go check it out as well. Because I think you got a lot of
questions. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thank you.
And we're going to also share the PowerPoint as well. And everybody that you just saw and heard from today, if somebody sparked an interest in you, we're all here, and they all love to teach. So don't be afraid to reach out to any one of us that you saw speaking today.
Absolutely.
Well, we really appreciate it for sure. And thank you very much. And thank you guys, all the students, for joining in. I appreciate it. And with that, I'll say, everyone be safe and be well.
All right. Take care, everybody. Thank you again for putting this together.
See you later.
Take care.